Vic, thanks for joining me today, and I'm sharing a very cute shaker card. So to start with, I've got these Time for Tea Designs dies, and I've also got some cardstock from Papermill, and our card today is going to be a slimline card. So I've just gone ahead and die cut the dies from that set, and then the stamps, I'm using the Getting All Mushy stamp set from Spellbinders, and as we're watercolouring, I've got some paper to watercolour on, so I'm just going ahead. I've got some waterproof ink and I'm just going to quickly stamp out my images that I'm going to use today. So as you can see, that mushroom didn't stamp out that well, so I've got a Copic multi-liner pen, so I'm just going to quickly go ahead and just join that top part of the mushroom. And now I've got my Zig Brush Markers, so these are very simple to use. You just literally colour a little bit of the marker onto your image and then use some water just to spread the ink around, and it pretty much does the blending for you. I've also got a piece of tissue, so every time I change colour I can wipe my brush so the colours don't mix together. So for my first mushroom, I'm just going around that bottom part of the mushroom with the Zig Brush Marker, and then I'm just going to add some water and then gently blend the colour upwards. So if you haven't used Zig Brush Markers before, they're really pigmented, they're like a felt tip, but they're used for watercolouring, but you can also just colour things in with the marker, which is what I'm going to quickly show you on the second mushroom. So you can really see just how much darker that is just using the felt tip with no water. And then another thing you can do, which is what I just quickly showed you there, I've put the marker on an acrylic block and then just added the water to that, and then I've just picked that up with my paintbrush, and then I'm just going straight in just using that, so it gives it almost like a bright pink look. So now I'm just going to go and colour in my other mushrooms. These are so cute, these mushrooms, they're just really sweet. So I've gone and got some violet, and now I'm going in with some pale green. So I'm just going to finish up my colouring, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm just adding the colour and then adding a little bit of water just to get that all nicely blended. So once I've coloured all my images, I have the coordinating dies, so I'm just going to secure these down with some washi tape, because these will stop it slipping when you're running them through your die cutting machine. So I'm just going to run them through my machine and then just quickly show you how they turn out when using the die. And now I have a uniquely creative mask. So them 3 circles that I've die cut earlier in that light pink card, I haven't actually applied any ink to the blending brushes. I've just gone in because I wanted like a soft colour, so I've just grabbed the brushes, I haven't applied them to the ink pad, I only done that with the green one. And now to make the shaker part of the card, I've got a piece of acetate, so I'm just trimming this down, and then this is going to go behind the trio of windows. So to secure that acetate to the card, I'm just going to go and add some double-sided tape all to the back piece of that trio of windows, and then I'm going to apply my acetate piece over the top. Now I'm just quickly removing that double-sided tape, and then I'm applying that acetate piece to the back, and then I'm just trimming off a little bit that's gone over the edges with my scissors. And then for the 3D part, I've got some foam pads, so I've just trimmed these down and I'm applying them to the outside of the window, just making sure that the foam pads aren't going to be peeking through and that they're touching each other, so your sequins won't come flying out once the shaker card shook. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up adding my foam pads. So what I usually do on this part is I put the sequins in and then I apply a back layer to that piece and then apply it to the card. But because this second piece is bigger than the one with the trio of circles in, I've just added the sequins on like this, and then I've applied the 3 trio of circles over the top, so it's easier for me to pick up and then adhere it onto my card base without it going wonky. So now I'm going to do my sentiment. I love this sentiment, love you so mush. I love anything like that, anything that's cute and whimsical. So now I've got my Versamark ink and I've got Papermilldirect Card, and then I've just stamped that down with my Versamark, and then I'm applying some white embossing powder, which I'm then going to go ahead and heat set this with my heat gun. And then to adhere my panel down, I've got some PVA glue, which I always highly recommend using when you're doing these types of cards, because if you're using double-sided tape and it goes wonky, it's just a nightmare to fix. So I've applied that down and I've let it dry, and now I'm adhering my sentiment, and then I'm going to use some foam pads to apply some of my mushrooms with, and then some of the hearts I've just used some PVA glue. Now I've got some pretty gems, so I'm going to add a couple of these onto my card. So I have a pickup tool. So I've got some PVA glue in a small tube, just so it's easier for me to adhere these down. And I'm using that pickup tool to pick up these gems because they're so fiddly, but they do look really pretty. So I love adding things like this to my card. And I've tried to use some of the gem colours that go with the card, so there's some pinks in there and there's some greens, and I think it just brings everything nicely together and finishes off your card. And then once I've finished adding them gems, my card's pretty much complete. So you can see here we got the stencil in at the back, we got the shaker part with the sequins, and that finishes up our card today. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you did, and I'd love you to join me by subscribing. Thanks for watching. Bye.